And we're taking you to the United States this morning, where protests across several states have now entered a ninth night. Anti-apartheid activist Bradley Steyn was there. He's been shot by a police officer with a rubber bullet during a peaceful protest in Los Angeles. It hit him in the groin at point-blank range. Steyn was at the time trying to stop another officer from beating a woman. He joins us now via Zoom at his home in Los Angeles, where he is recovering. Bradley, thanks again for talking to us on the AM report. First, tell us how you're feeling.
Mzansi, Morweni, Goeiemorgen, good morning, salam. How's everybody going? Yeah, I'm sore. I'm sitting here with an ice pack. There's severe damage to my scrotum area. Unfortunately, my left testicle has been ruptured by a rubber bullet. I got shot twice by a rubber bullet. The second shot hit me in the thigh, and then I got hit across the chest with a police baton by very unprofessional, aggressive, and violent police officers, acting unprofessionally against, pretty peaceful demonstrators from what I saw. And in my opinion, they escalated the violence and upset people, and people were outraged, and they got pissed off, and that's when the riot started.
So Bradley, just give us a sense, paint a picture for us of what was happening in the moments that led up to you being shot and being hit with a baton.
So, firstly, I just want to set the stage. Growing up in South Africa, we were exposed to terrible violence and protests and, police brutality. Here in the land of the free and the home of the brave, I thought that I could take my 10-year-old daughter and to a protest and show her that, you need to stand up to governments and authorities that abuse their power, like the apartheid government abused their power. And but at the last moment, I decided not to take her. There was something in my gut that told me not to take her. I got to the Fairfax district in Los Angeles and joined the Black Lives Matters movement, where there were speakers talking about the tragic death of George Floyd and of so many other black people in the United States. And the protest continued down the road onto 3rd Street, which is near a big shopping area called the Grove, which is a very famous shopping area. And we walked down peacefully down 3rd Street. We got to the intersection of a street called Fairfax at the corner of the Grove, where we stopped. People were sharing their stories, their sentiments of why we are out there, calling for the arrest of the other 3 officers that were involved in the murder of George Floyd, and then defunding the police and demilitarizing the police here in the United States. Then we continued further down the road, where protesters encountered police officers. There were, on the fringes of this peaceful protests, people that, were using hammers and breaking windows and breaking shop windows and spray painting and tagging and hitting police cars and kicking mirrors off police cars. And then all of a sudden I heard shots being fired, and I realized it was rubber bullets. I took cover behind the engine block of the police cruiser. I stuck my head up and noticed that it was rubber bullets. And I managed to push myself further forward, and where I saw a skirmish line, which is what they call a line that they use in law enforcement to manage crowd control. the reason I know about this is I've been actively involved in security, police, law enforcement, in the national security arena. So I know the tactics and the protocols. But what I didn't expect was the way these police acted and how unprofessional they were and how brutally violent they were. There were young girls that were 17-year-olds and young boys from neighborhoods that out of the goodness of their hearts wanted to come and protest peacefully at the atrocity of this senseless murder and of black people being targeted in the United States by police officers. And then to the right, I heard a skirmish happening, and I moved down the skirmish line, and I looked on the other side, and I saw that this young lady had fallen over, and I just saw the police being I can't get too far into the details because of my attorney's advice, but I just saw a very aggressive interaction with the police officer. I tried to put my body in between this police officer that was beating this woman, and I just saw on the faces a lot of terrified young black faces, and it almost reminded me of the Streatham Square massacre when Streatham started shooting and all these young people were running around and terrified. And I got in between. I managed to pull her away. As I pulled her away, I stepped back, and a police officer hit me across the chest. And then they stepped forward and they put their rifle in a prone position and shot 2 rounds of rubber bullets. One hit me on the inner thigh, hit me directly in the genitalia. And standard operational procedure, when you use weapons like this to disperse and manage crowds, you shoot this into the ground. You don't shoot directly at a person. I managed to turn around and run away. I ballegged the hell out of there. And I ended up hearing somebody pulling on my shirt and rocking me, and I woke up because I had passed out from the pain a block and a half away. And I looked, and there was blood all the way down my leg. And my genitalia was very sore, and I stuck my hand down there, and I was covered in blood. Anyway, so it took me 45 minutes to get to a hospital, and I went in for emergency surgery.
Bradley, I want to ask you, the Streatham Square massacre in 1988, you and I talk about that every year when we commemorate the lives that were lost during what unfolded in Pretoria that day. You were a 17-year-old boy at the time. I mean, what happened to you this week in Los Angeles must bring back some of the fear, some of the feelings, some of the real PTSD that comes with living through something like that and surviving something like that.
Yeah, it was hectic, man. I'm trying to be brave and trying to be strong and put on a strong face here, but the brutality and the culture of the brutality within law enforcement in this country is unhinged. It's apartheid America, and the way they treat their people of color and discriminate against them in this country is disgusting. And as those rubber bullets were flying and these young kids from neighborhoods were running towards me, I saw the same faces that I saw in the Streatham Square massacre of terrified people. So yeah, it's definitely ripped a wound open in me, and yeah, it's spot the pun, it's incapacitated me. I didn't think, that I would almost bleed out and die in the streets of Beverly Hills, which almost happened.
Well, Bradley, thank you for talking to us. Thank you for being brave enough to come out and describe what happened there on the streets of Los Angeles. We appreciate your time.
Hey, Michelle, I just wanted to say, that the African American community came out and marched against apartheid. We as expats, as diaspora around the United States, need to go step up and stand up for this brutality and these atrocities that are happening across the United States. And it needs to happen in South Africa as well. Mr. Khoza getting killed, the same thing needs to happen. The indiscriminate crime that's happening in South Africa, all of this needs to be addressed.
Bradley, thank you for bringing up Collins Khoza. We know the investigation into his death is still ongoing. We wish you all of the best. Please take care of yourself and recover well. We'll talk to you again in the coming weeks.
Lives matters.
Bradley Steyn there, he is an anti-apartheid activist shot at close range by police in Los Angeles while protesting at a Black Lives Matter protest this week in Los Angeles there. He is recovering at his home in that state.